Imagine an old photograph tucked away in your attic, covered in a film of dust. It's a portrait of your great-great-grandparent. A stern face, worn eyes, a hint of a smile. You hold this photograph in your hand, but you realize something unsettling. You don't even know this ancestor's name. They are family, your own blood. Yet to you they are a ghost, a stranger lost to time.
That dust-covered photo is all that remains of a life once full of dreams, fears, and loves. A person who laughed, cried, hoped, and struggled. Now reduced to a faded image, and a name no one living can recall. The details of their story have disintegrated into the ether. No one remembers the sound of their voice, the things they cared about, or the legacy they tried to leave. They have been forgotten. Late at night, you can't help but wonder, is that the fate that awaits you too? One day, will your own photograph lie in some box, colors fading, your name meaningless to the living? The thought creeps in like a chill. One day, you will be as unknown as that ancestor. You will be forgotten completely. This realization isn't just melancholy, it's terrifying. It strikes at the core of what it means to live and to matter. You spend your life trying to be someone, to be good, to be important, to achieve something that outlasts you. You imagine that through your work, your art, your children, or your kindness, you will leave a mark on the world, a mark that will keep you alive in the memories of others long after you're gone. We all carry this quiet hope that we won't simply vanish without a trace. But reality paints a harsher picture. Think about it. How many of your great-grandparents can you name, let alone your great-great-grandparents? If even your own family, just a few generations on, cannot remember you, what does that say about the rest of the world? The vast majority of people who have ever lived are now forgotten. Millions of lives, once vivid in their own present, now reduced to nothing, not even a footnote in history. We erect tombstones with names and dates. We write memoirs. We build buildings and start companies, all in an effort to say, I was here, I mattered. Perhaps you dream of accomplishing something so grand that your name will be spoken for centuries. But even the grandest monuments crumble. Even the brightest fame eventually fades. Time swallows everything. Look at the ruins of ancient empires. Once, great kings and queens believed their reign would last forever. Now their palaces are dust and their names foreign and forgotten, known only to scholars. Shelves of history books hold countless names that meant everything in their day, but nothing to you. One day, even those books will turn to dust or data lost in some obsolete cloud storage. Time dissolves every monument, every memory. Given long enough, even the most enduring legacy fades into obscurity. So where does that leave you? Standing on the brink of your own life's accomplishments, it forces a question. Why do anything if it will all amount to nothing? Why strive? Why suffer? Why create? If in the end, it's all erased like a footprint in sand when the tide comes in. This question isn't abstract. It's deeply personal. Late at night, when you're honest with yourself, it gnaws at you. What's the point of all your struggle, all your hoping and planning, if one day none of it will matter? You try to shrug it off in the daylight. You focus on the tasks at hand, the immediate goals. Get the promotion, finish the project, celebrate the birthday, pay the bills. Life intoxicates you with the next thing to do, the next small pleasure or worry. And for a while, you forget about the abyss. But then, in the quiet moments, a solitary drive home, or when sleep won't come, the thought returns, sober and cold. One day, perhaps sooner than you think, you will be gone, and the world will go on as if you never existed. You are not alone in this fear. The dread of oblivion has gripped many minds greater than yours or mine. The Russian author Leo Tolstoy, at the height of his fame and success, was seized by this very terror. Imagine it. A man celebrated worldwide for his genius, with wealth, family, and renown, suddenly paralyzed by the realization that none of it would last. In his middle age, Tolstoy was haunted by the question of life's meaning to the point of despair. Tolstoy wrote about this crisis in his work, A Confession. He confessed that it seemed to him that life was meaningless, no matter how much success or praise he earned. He had accomplished what few ever do, writing masterpieces like War and Peace. Yet he found himself asking, what is the point of it all if one day I will not exist and no one will remember any of this? The question struck him with such force that it eclipsed all joy. He could no longer see the value in writing, in family, in anything at all, because he knew death would erase it. For Tolstoy, the fact of his own mortality made every achievement feel hollow. He saw that in 100 years, perhaps even less, his works might be gathering dust on a shelf, just like that old photograph. He imagined himself dead and rotting, his name fading from people's minds. My deeds, whatever they may be, will be forgotten sooner or later, and I will be no more, he realized. The blunt truth of that broke him inside. Here was a man at the top of the mountain of success, and from that height, he saw the vast graveyard that awaits us all, and he could not bear it. He described his life at that time as if he were a man lost in the forest at night. In every direction he looked, there was only darkness and the threat of death. In his vivid metaphor, he likened life to a traveler clinging to a fragile branch in a well, with a dragon of death waiting below and a wild beast of suffering above. Two mice, one white, one black, day and night, gnawed at the branch. Hanging there, the traveler saw drops of honey on the leaves and licked them to distract himself from his doom. But for Tolstoy, even the sweetest honey of life, the joys, the successes, had lost all flavor. The inevitability of death had poisoned them. He could see nothing ahead but the dragon's jaws. This realization pushed Tolstoy to the brink. The great author found himself contemplating just ending it as the only escape from the emptiness. He had to hide ropes and guns from himself to prevent an impulsive end to his life. So acute was his despair. Imagine that. A man whose novels touched millions, who had a family that loved him, reduced to pacing the halls at night, removing the rope from his room so he wouldn't hang himself from the rafters. He was consumed by the thought that life was a cruel joke, that the moment you truly understand the truth of your insignificance, you cannot carry on as before. Now, bring this back to you. Perhaps your life is not as grand as Tolstoy's was, but the fear can be just as overwhelming. You might not talk about it. It's not exactly casual conversation to discuss the terror of non-existence. But it's there. When you scroll through your phone, when you chase the next promotion, when you celebrate a birthday, there's a shadow that sometimes flickers at the edge of your mind. An understanding that all of this is temporary. That shadow is the same one Tolstoy stared into, the same void. So what do you do with this realization? Maybe you've tried to outrun it. You throw yourself into work, into relationships, into distractions. You chase the drops of honey life offers, the nights out with friends, the new hobby, the plan for a vacation next summer. For a while it works. You feel okay. The sweetness of those moments makes you forget the dragon waiting below. But inevitably, the rush wears off. You find yourself lying in bed or looking out the window, and the world falls quiet. In that silence, the big questions creep back in. No amount of busy work or entertainment can fend them off forever. Desperate for answers, you turn to knowledge. If living everyday life won't soothe this existential ache, maybe understanding will. So you read and research. First, you turn to science. You immerse yourself in cosmology and biology, learning just how vast the universe is and how small and brief human life is in comparison. Science lays it out with clinical precision. You are one of billions of humans, on a small planet circling an ordinary star, in a galaxy among billions of galaxies. The universe is unfathomably large, and it will go on long after you and everything you've ever known turns to dust. In the scientific view, meaning isn't written in the stars. The cosmos is indifferent to your existence. The laws of physics march forward relentlessly. Eventually, the sun will burn out, the earth will be incinerated or frozen, and all human achievements will be annihilated. This knowledge, though true, offers cold comfort. If anything, it confirms your fear. Nothing you do will ultimately last. You wanted science to give you perspective, and it did, but not the comforting kind. Next, you delve into philosophy. Perhaps somewhere in the thoughts of the great minds, you hope to find a lifeline. You read the existentialists, who tell you that life is inherently void of meaning, except what we choose to give it. They urge you to create your own purpose. You read the pessimistic philosophers who nod in agreement with your darkest thoughts, that life is suffering and absurd. Maybe we'd be better off not existing at all. You study the ancient Stoics, who calmly remind you that everyone dies. So the only thing in your control is how virtuously you live until then. Each philosophy makes sense in its own way, but as you close the books, you still feel that hollow space in your chest. The theories swirl in your mind, but the emotional truth remains. You still feel insignificant, unconsoled. So you turn to religion, to spirituality, as a last refuge. You open the scriptures, you read of eternal souls and a loving God and heavens beyond this world. You pray, or at least you try to, asking for some sign that your life matters in the grand scheme. Maybe you find some comfort in the idea that an all-knowing creator put you here for a reason, that you're part of some divine plan, or perhaps you struggle with it. The faith doesn't come, and the words on the page feel like beautiful stories you just can't fully believe. You might even envy those who have unshakable faith, the way Tolstoy eventually envied the simple faith of the peasants. But for you right now, nothing is piercing that darkness completely. The promises of religion are grand, but in the dead of night, your doubt swallows them whole. You're still afraid, in the end. Despite all your searching, the silence remains. Science tells you the truth of your insignificance. Philosophy tells you to make your own meaning, but doesn't tell you how. And religion tells you to have faith that meaning is there. But perhaps your heart hasn't felt it. You've looked for reassurance in every place you could think of. And still, at 3 a.m, you feel the weight of emptiness pressing down on your chest. The fear that your life is meaningless and will be forgotten still whispers in your ear, unanswered. It's a crushing feeling, that sense that you are a tiny, transient spark in a vast, dark universe, destined to flicker out. You might even begin to think like Tolstoy did. Maybe ending it all is the only way to stop this pain. Maybe it's better not to exist than to exist without meaning. Those thoughts scare you, and they should. You're ashamed to even admit to yourself that you have them. But you do. In your darkest moments, you wonder if life is a cruel joke, and if checking out early is the only way to call the bluff, and yet, you're still here. Despite the fear, despite the emptiness, some part of you refuses to let go. There's a stubborn spark inside you that clings to life, even without knowing why. You get up in the morning, you eat, you breathe, you move through another day, even when a voice in your head asks, "What's the point?" Something deep in your being answers, simply, "Because I'm alive." Because some part of you still hopes there is an answer, or if not an answer, at least something worth experiencing, worth holding on to for one more sunrise. So you endure the long night of the soul, and one day, that long night gives way to dawn. Literally. Imagine now that it's almost morning. You've spent the whole night wrestling with these demons of doubt. You step outside, unable to stay in that stifling room anymore. The air is cool and damp with early morning. You find yourself drawn to an open field nearby, or maybe a hill overlooking your town. The world is eerily quiet at this hour, as if even the earth is taking a breath. You stand there, watching the horizon. The sky is still a deep shade of blue-black, with stars fading one by one. A thin line of pale light is starting to stretch across the edge of the world. The first hint of dawn. You feel small under the vault of heaven, a lone figure in a silent field. There's no audience here, no one to impress or disappoint. You are alone with the universe, alone with the silence of eternity. In this moment, all your titles, all your successes and failures fall away. You're not a worker, not a sibling or parent or friend. You're not a bundle of accomplishments or mistakes. You are just a breathing human being standing on moist grass, looking at a new day's light. In the face of the vast sky, the labels don't matter. The universe neither applauds nor condemns you. It simply watches, if it watches at all, with quiet indifference. Your life, which felt so heavy with importance and worry, now feels startlingly light, like a single leaf floating in a great sea of space and time. And yet, you are that leaf, and you are still here. As your eyes trace the band of light growing in the east, you notice your heart beating, steady and sure. You notice the chill of the air on your skin, the smell of dew on the earth. You are present. For the first time in a long time, you are fully present in this exact moment, not lost in thought or fear. The reality of your insignificance in the grand scheme does not vanish, but alongside it, something else arises. A simple awareness of existence itself, raw and clear. The sun's edge breaks over the horizon, spilling gold onto the clouds. The dark is behind you now, the sky above turning from purple to blue to a gentle morning glow. In this new light, you feel a stirring inside your chest, an emotion, quiet but unmistakable. It isn't the sharp panic of last night, nor a triumphant joy. It's something more subtle, like a soft warmth. It might be hope, or it might be simply the return of curiosity about life. It is the feeling that maybe, just maybe, there is still some meaning to be found, even if you don't know what it is yet. You think of the people you love. Their faces come to mind. People who are still here, or even those who have already gone. In this gentle dawn light, you realize that even if the whole world will one day forget you, right now there are people to whom you matter, and who matter to you. Maybe it's a parent, a friend, a child, or even a pet who trusts you. In their eyes, you are not insignificant at all. You are the one who brought them comfort, or laughter or help when they needed it. The love you have given and received is real, and it exists in this moment, as surely as the ground under your feet. Perhaps that is a kind of meaning, not a grand, eternal significance that defies time, but a humble significance anchored in love and connection in the here and now. Yes, it's true that one day those people will be gone too, and the memory of your love might vanish. But right now, it lives in them, and it changes them, and it becomes a part of them. And as they go on to touch others, a small piece of you travels with them in an ever-spreading quiet way. Call it legacy, call it love. Maybe there is something immortal in the way kindness echoes from person to person, long after the original giver is forgotten. You begin to see that being forgotten is not the same as not having mattered. Your ancestor in that photograph, you may not recall their name or their deeds, but you are their continuation. Their life led, eventually, to yours. The choices they made, the children they had, the values they passed down, all of it lives on in you, whether you see it or not. And the same will be true of you. Even if, generations from now, some descendant won't know your name or the color of your eyes, they may live in the world you helped shape. The love and knowledge you share today might be carried forward by people who never knew you, like a river flowing from a source too distant to see. Perhaps there is also something beyond the human, beyond the personal legacy. As you stand under the brightening sky, you can't shake the feeling that you are part of something vast and mysterious. You feel connected to the wind that brushes your face, to the ground that supports you, to the sunlight that warms your skin. You remember the scientific fact that the atoms in your body were forged in ancient stars, that you are literally stardust contemplating itself. In a way, the universe that made you will take you back, your body to the earth, your energy to the cosmos. Nothing is truly lost, only transformed. Maybe your conscious mind won't persist as you are now, but a part of you, the matter, the energy, the ripple of your actions, will always be part of this universe. In that sense, you are timeless. And think of all the others who have faced this truth and found a way to live with it. You are not the first to be afraid, and you won't be the last. Tolstoy, after his long night of the soul, found reasons to go on. He turned to the simple faith and love of the peasants around him and discovered a kind of peace in dedicating himself to others. If a mind as tortured and brilliant as his could find light again, so can you. And not only Tolstoy, countless people, famous and forgotten alike, have stood where you stand, on the edge of despair, looking into the abyss, and yet they stepped back and chose life. They chose to keep searching, to keep loving, to keep living, even knowing that none of it lasts forever. In this, you are deeply connected to all of them. Every questioning soul across history is, in a way, your companion. Every ancestor who once feared oblivion, as you do, yet lived, loved, and passed life on. They are all with you in this field, in spirit. You carry the torch of that same human courage, just by standing here and deciding to face another day. In the story of humanity, full of struggle and wonder, you are a part of the immortal thread of all who have ever searched for meaning. The fear hasn't vanished entirely, and likely never will. But now, as the sun climbs higher, you feel something else alongside it, a determination. If oblivion is to be our fate, then you will meet it on your own terms, not in despair, but in defiance. You will live, and live fully. You will take this life, this fragile, absurd, beautiful life, and fill it with as much meaning as you can. Not because it will last, but because it's precious that it won't. Because every moment is a one-time gift. The impermanence that once terrified you now makes each experience sacred. The dawn has broken. You turn away from the horizon and begin to walk back to your life. The world around you is waking up. Birds sing, the first sounds of morning bustle arise in the distance. You feel the wet grass on your shoes and the steady beating of your heart. You're here now, and so you will act. You will love. You will strive. You will create. Someday you will be a memory, and then not even that. But you have this dawn, this day, and you have decided that this is enough. Picture that dusty old photograph once more. One day, someone may find a faded photo of you in a box. They might not know your name, or the songs you loved, or the dreams that kept you up at night. But the echo of your life will still be present in the world that they inherit. In the way you taught your children kindness, in the jokes you told your friends that they pass on, in the little improvements you made in your corner of the world, you will be there, in fragments, even if no one can trace them back to you. In that way, nothing good you do is truly lost. It becomes part of the fabric of reality, woven into the lives of others. This is your quiet immortality. If this journey into the dark and the dawn moved you, I invite you to join us. Subscribe to the channel for more explorations of the depths of life and the mind. Together, we bravely face the uncomfortable truths in search of understanding. And if you've watched until the very end, let me know. Leave a comment with the word password. Let it be our little secret, a token that you and I made this journey together to its very last word.